All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today as we are going to do a live watch along to Bradley Beal's introductory press conference. And just before, this started, we had a pretty massive bombshell of information that Kyrie Irving might be coming to the Phoenix Suns. We're going to talk about that a little bit before and obviously afterwards. We got so much Suns news to talk about, and I am joined by a good friend of mine. He's been on this channel before. He needs no introduction, but I am going to let him introduce himself, tell you where to find him and everything. Him and his epic man cave room right there with all the badass posters and games and all that cool stuff. ThunderSteve85 Gaming, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, brother. This is going to be a good day.
Yes,
It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I think we're all excited as Suns fans to introduce Bradley Beal. But not only that, man, there's a ton of news going on. But to just introduce myself, guys, my name is Steve Zimmerman. I am an Arizona native, Phoenix Suns fan since the 92-93 season. I've been there for all of it, even the 96 season when we started out 0-13 after trading Barkley. The Rex Chapman season, basically, 96-97. But you can find me at ThunderSteve85 Gaming on YouTube. I run a video game channel where it has video game news, reviews, all the video game stuff you could ever want. Lifelong gamer as well. And that's it, guys. I am excited to talk Suns today.
Me too, man. It's going to be a great show. And thank you for everybody that is joining us live and watching with us. And like I said, we will be talking more Phoenix Suns news in a little bit, but I believe the press conference is going to be starting soon. So, Steve, real quick before it starts, I just got to ask you this. Where were you when we traded for Bradley Beal? What were you doing? I got to know, man.
So it's funny. I'm old school. I was born in 85. I grew up in an Italian family. And obviously, growing up, we didn't have cell phones yet. But if there was anything I ever brought to the table, like if I tried to bring a Game Boy maybe to the dinner table, like that thing would get taken away for a month. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's still like embedded in me. So we were out for Father's Day for an early dinner, right? And so I don't have my cell phone out on the table, right? And that was my whole point. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, and I did check my phone, and I saw the news about Beal, and I was literally in the bathroom, like, holy shit, you gotta be kidding me. And I come back to the table, and I was just still like beaming. They're like, are you okay? I'm like, dude, the Suns just got Bradley Beal. It's like, I don't want to talk about this at Father's Day dinner, but it's like, hey,
this
dude,
is huge.
This is huge. This is huge. Just caught me off guard. So yeah, I was very excited. What were you doing when it all happened?
I was just chilling, man, and I went live like maybe 20 minutes afterwards, and I was live with our good friends over at the Suns Jam Session podcast. I DM'd them. I was like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys going live? Like, you want to collaborate on this? But I was just chilling, man, and it snuck up out of nowhere because, it was obviously reported like that he was in, like it was the Heat and the Suns and all that, and that's kind of when I knew as well. I was like, this seems impossible, kind of like the Kyrie stuff. Seems impossible, but I was like, it could happen. And then all of a sudden, boom, get the notification, got everything set up and went live. So I was just chilling, man. I had to know where you were because it's kind of like that night when we got KD, man. We went live for like 4 hours. I was like, where were you and what were you doing and all that? But you guys, like Steve said earlier, it's still a great day. Even with this Kyrie stuff, it's a great day to introduce Bradley Beal. And I'm just super excited, you guys. It's going to be a great show. We're just waiting for the Phoenix Suns to start the press conference. That's kind of why I wanted to go live early, Steve, and talk about whatever, because I went live for Monty Williams' Detroit Pistons press conference, and I'm not even joking you. It didn't start till 40 minutes later.
Oh, wow.
40 minutes. Thank goodness I was live with one of my friends who's a big Pistons fan, and him and I actually had stuff to talk about. But yeah, so we're just waiting, you guys. Do me a favor, y'all. Crush that like button. Share the show. Check out Thunder Steve. All of his links and my links are down below in the description. So while we're waiting, Steve, and our conversation might get cut off because we're just waiting, but quick thoughts on the Kyrie stuff that dropped. What are you thinking, man? Is Kyrie Irving gonna get? Is he gonna sign with the Phoenix Suns, or is this just chaos? Is this just nonsense? What do you think, man?
Well, there's a lot of thoughts out there already that I heard today. There's a lot of different takes on Twitter, and I was listening to Arizona sports on the radio all morning. A lot of different takes. One of the takes is, hey, maybe he's using the Suns as leverage, right?
Yeah,
But here's the flip side of that coin is that everyone knows the Suns can only offer a little bit of money.
yeah.
So is
The
that
very
really
little we have.
is that really leverage from a
Yeah,
financial standpoint? I mean, it's not like it's going to work in the opposite, actually, from a financial standpoint. But what nobody's talked about, and I would like to bring up, is that when Kyrie was dealing with all the stuff with the not getting the shot and not being able to play, like not getting the vaccine shot, whatever you will call
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and not playing, he was losing money.
Right.
Everybody, I don't know if anyone remembers that, but he was obviously interviewed about this a lot, and he made it perfectly clear he does not care about money. He's
Oh
made
yeah.
more than enough money,
Yep.
and that money is not the most important thing to him, like it is to a lot of people in this world. And he was like crystal clear about that. And when everyone was saying this morning, like, well, he would never sign with the Suns because we can only offer him a little bit of money. All I'm thinking is like, nah, he's wired differently actually,
Yeah.
and he's been moving around from team to team to team. He just wants to like, in my opinion, he wants to find a home and be done with it and stop moving.
Right.
Comes to be an age, you get to be an age where you just want to stop moving.
Right.
I got to be that age too.
Yeah.
I was moving everywhere for work. They were moving me all over the place. And you just want to settle down and be somewhere. Maybe that's where he's at in life. I don't know. But if that's where he's at, Phoenix would obviously be a great place to go because you already got friends here.
I'm going to echo a lot of what you said. And look, maybe this is a very unpopular opinion. And obviously, we're not here to talk religion. We're not here to talk politics and vaccines and all that. But I will say this. I kind of feel like Kyrie's a little misunderstood. I think you and I have sort of had that conversation before. I'm not saying I defend everything Kyrie does and all that stuff. I'm whatever. His beliefs are his beliefs and all that. But I feel like he's a little misunderstood. And again, this all could just be BS. It could just be Kyrie and his agent or his team or whatever saying, hey, Mavericks, pay us right now while you still can. If not, I'm going to go elsewhere to Phoenix or maybe Houston and all that. I have some thoughts on the Houston Rockets later, by the way. But
Yeah.
yeah, it could just be a whole leverage, as people are saying. And again, I made a quick YouTube short about this. Everyone go check that out, by the way. And I pretty much said, I don't know how this is going to work financially. I don't know how it's going to work on the court, but damn it, it would be awesome if it happened. And Steve, you know me, man. I've studied the history of the league. I've studied the history of the Suns. You know your Suns history. If this happened, this would be one of the greatest, 4 or 5, starting lineups in Phoenix Suns history and in league history. I'm not saying it would be number 1 overall, but talent-wise, it would be top 5, one of the best we've ever seen. The offense would be incredible. So that's just kind of my quick thoughts, man.
It would be absolutely insane. I don't know how the lineup would work.
Yeah, me neither.
Because, obviously you got, as of right now, it appears Book will be playing point. That's the end of the discussion, point Book. So I don't know where all this would fit in or how it would work. Obviously, it reminds me of when we had the 3 guards with Dragic, Bledsoe, and Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah. Real
we all
fans
know how that
remember
worked out.
Yeah.
But obviously on a whole different level.
It worked in stretches, but yeah, it obviously did not work. And that's sort of one of the bigger what ifs in Suns history is, if we would have kept that team together, you know what I mean? Especially with my boy Gerald Green. People are saying in the comments that the press conference is, oh, never mind, it's actually starting now. So we're going to share the screen. I think they said there was like a delay or something, but we're going to share it anyways, just in case. I'll pull it up right here. Second here, guys. Let me mute this music. Okay, how we look? Okay, we look good. Okay, so getting things up. All right, so while we're still waiting, like I said, there might be a 10-minute delay. That's what Twitter's saying, anyways. I have a couple, or really just one more thought on Kyrie. And then again, we can talk about it later after the press conference and everything. In Chris Haynes's report, and later we can actually look at that report and react to it. Chris Haynes said that I think the meetings are going to be, or he didn't actually say when the meeting is going to be, but he said it's going to take place in Los Angeles. So my point here is I wonder if the meeting is going to happen like today or tonight or tomorrow, because I guess technically you can start talking to players at like 6 p.m. or whatever Eastern time, 3 p.m., whatever it is.
Yeah.
So my point being is in the report, it said the meetings are going to take place in Los Angeles. So I wonder when it's going to happen. And here's the thing, whether Kyrie signs with Phoenix or Dallas, I wonder if we're not going to hear about it for like a couple days. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because they would have to like cross the T's, dot the I's, you know, get all the details. But the fact that it's taking place sort of ahead of time, sort of, that's kind of my thought. I feel like that's not really getting talked about, but who knows? I mean, I could be dead wrong. I don't know.
You know, another thought too, guys, is that what happens if he signs with Dallas only so we can orchestrate a sign and trade deal?
There have been the rumors about DA to Dallas, and it's a real rumor. It's not BS. It's not like a fan thing.
Yeah, that's definitely something we got to keep in mind too, is that could happen.
Yeah. It's a real possibility. And also, because Steve, I mean, you were with me when we traded for KD. I think that same day or a couple days prior, Kyrie was linked to the Suns. This isn't like the first time he's been linked to the Phoenix Suns, man. So
we were going after him. We were. I mean, I hope everyone knows that we were going after Kyrie.
Like, this isn't a new thing. Like, this has been happening for a while.
Yeah, and it's not over.
Yeah.
Even if we don't get him this summer, I don't think it's over. But something could still happen in the season as well.
Exactly. And I've said that in a recent DeAndre Ayton video I made. And, you know, pretty much my thought with the Ayton thing was, you know, if Ayton's playing bad and all that, and if he's still the same DA on and off the court, trade him at the deadline. That's sort of the, you know, I'm rolling off what you said. We could still trade for him at the deadline, especially if it's not working out on his end of things. Because remember, Kyrie and Luka showed some flashes of potential, but it was a disaster. Didn't they go like 2-10 or something like that? And the defense wasn't good. And
they purposely sat him at the end when they could have made the play-in tournament.
Exactly.
I mean, and look what happened as a prime example, the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
I mean, they were a play-in team and they made it to the finals. So
right.
I don't know why they discounted being a play-in team so much, but they had a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. It's going to be a chaotic offseason, and Suns fans, let me tell you, schedule accordingly. Like, I understand we all got things going on in our lives. We got jobs or whatever the case may be, but schedule accordingly, because it really all kind of begins tonight. We're going to start hearing things, but it's really all going to start rolling in, I assume, probably tomorrow afternoon-ish, if not before. I mean, heck, the KD trade happened at like midnight my time, which was like 10 or 11 your time, Steve. So it's like this stuff could happen like boom, like I don't know. And we've already seen a bunch of players declining options and becoming free agents, and we've had a little bit of Suns news, which we will talk about later, like actual Suns news about like Jock Lendell and Ish Wainwright and all that. And we'll get to that later. Yeah. But I'm just telling you and warning you, Suns fans, right now, schedule accordingly, because it is going to get crazy from here. I'm super excited, man. We're just still waiting for this press conference to start. That's why I'm glad we had things to talk about, Steve, prior to this, because I knew there would be a little bit of a delay. But you know what? As much as I want to keep talking about the Kyrie stuff, even though I feel like in a short amount of time, we did a pretty good job touching on it. Just real quick before we get started, Steve, and I know like everyone's kind of said everything by now. It's, you know, everyone's thoughts have, you know, been said about Bradley Beal, but what are your thoughts on the Bradley Beal trade? What's your opinion? Are you kind of with everybody else? And do you think it's a good trade? Are you a little skeptical about the future? Like, what are you thinking, man?
I immediately, I mean, I know Bradley Beal's resume.
Yeah.
I watch every Suns game. We've played against him many times, obviously. I immediate thought was this is the most lopsided trade in Suns history in our
Seriously,
favor. And
for
I
real.
thought this is highway robbery. How did we get away with this?
Right.
I was in shock literally at the dinner table. I'm just like, I was going through my head like, how do we do this? This is crazy.
Right.
And then, there was some news that came out about the Bartlesteins
Yep.
that there might, and Wizards fans saying this is collusion.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, you may not be too far off. I don't know. We don't know what happened on the inside, but as a Suns fan, if my initial reaction is that they got hosed, but then you have to look at the fact that Beal had that very unique contract where he gets to choose where he wants to go.
Exactly.
So the Wizards were handcuffed.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that we totally won this trade, and it might be the most lopsided trade in Suns history.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This reminds me of like when I think it was when the Lakers got Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
For like nothing. And I remember just thinking this is complete BS. I was mad, as a Suns fan.
Yeah.
Because it's always the Lakers getting these, big name free agents. And I just felt like that was so lopsided. And I forget the details of the trade. But when we got Beal, I thought of that.
Right.
I'm like, our time's coming. Our ship's finally coming in, man.
Exactly. And it's like I don't mean to sound like a spoiled Suns fan here, but like it was really exciting. I mean, I was freaking out. I'm not going to lie to you. I actually day drank that day. I had a shot with the Suns Jam Session podcast. They're drinking some beers over there. It was fun, man. But I don't mean to sound spoiled here, but like it was very exciting, but I wasn't as excited as when we got KD, And I don't want that to sound like we are entitled, like, oh, we need to get Kyrie. We need to get all these superstars to Phoenix. But like, it goes to show how far we've come. And, a lot of my subscribers know this. I'm not trying to sound like Wizards geek over here, but I've been trying to cover it from a Washington Wizards perspective. And somebody else actually said this, and I'm kind of paraphrasing what they said, but pretty much this is Michael Winger, the president, CEO of the new Washington Wizards and all that. He's taken over. And whoever their GM is, this is them cleaning up Tommy Shepard's mess, pretty much.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, like, Bradley Beal pretty much had them handcuffed, and he had all the power and everything, and the no trade clause. And they kind of just were tied down, man. Just it was a little too late to trade Bradley Beal. And, optimistically speaking, because me, that's how I like to view the NBA is they have a clean salary, a clean salary cap sheet pretty much, besides Jordan Poole. They have a lot of salary cap. They have young talent over there now, especially after this draft. They have Tyus Jones, who's arguably the best backup point guard in the league. And, it's not like they're going to be signing all these big free agents anytime soon. Let's be real. And they're going to be probably terrible for at least 2 to 3 years. I think offensively, they're actually going to be pretty damn good, but they're going to be terrible. And they're pretty much just cleaning up the mess. And maybe in like 5 years, we'll be like, holy crap, the Wizards made the playoffs. It was all worth it. Now, again,
Kuzma will be out of there too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kuzma's gone. And, they traded Porzingis and everything. So they wiped the books, and they're just starting fresh. And there's really nothing wrong with that, man. They've been like a mid team. I hate to use that word because all the kids say it, but they have been a mid team for like years now. I don't even know the last time they won a playoff series. And I understand what they were trying to do with John Wall and Beal and all that stuff. And there's a part of me that wanted to see what like a Porzingis and Kuzma and Beal could have done, but just didn't work out. A little too late. So I've been trying to cover it from a Washington Wizards perspective. And I was actually talking to one of my family members last night, and it's like, I don't mean to sound negative. I don't want to be negative, but like this could be a disaster in the long run for the Suns. But I don't care, Steve. I want to win a championship. That's all that matters. And
Yeah.
hopefully, fingers crossed, praying one day that it happens. And if we have to destroy the CBA, and if we have to sign all these players and have no future draft picks, and pay the NBA, whatever it is, I don't care. I want to win a championship.
It's not coming out of our bank account. Everyone
Yep.
seems to be really concerned
Yep.
with how much money the Suns are spending, and I can appreciate that. The fiscal responsibility that Suns fans are taking on for Matt Ishbia, we don't have to. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, is like Matt wants to win.
Yeah.
Matt is extremely competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a collegiate athlete. Guy is super competitive. He made the team because he was a dog, not because he was an excellent player, but because he's got a dog in him. And that's how he's operating right now. That's how he's operating the Suns. It's exciting. Like, it's kind of like a dream owner.
And look, sort of like how I was kind of defending Kyrie earlier, I'm not saying I'm defending Matt Ishbia and every move he makes, even though so far I kind of have, to be honest with you. I've defended a lot of his moves. But I will say this, though. And look, I understand there's a lot of fans out there that wanted to keep Mikal and Cam and see where that goes, and it makes sense. And, I understand there's fans that are like, we need future draft picks and we need young players. I get it. But maybe Matt Ishbia and his team sort of looked at the Suns and where they were and said, you know what? You guys got close. You went to the finals. You won 64 games, but this just ain't working. Let's go in a new direction. And Chris Paul, reportedly, Isaiah Thomas and Matt Ishbia said something along those lines. At least that's what he said anyways. So, again, not defending Matt Ishbia 110%, but kind of on his side. If this is the way that he thinks we're going to win, I'm all for it. And you know what, Steve? Again, not to sound like a spoiled... Oh, this press conference is starting. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Ooh. Let me unmute this. Sorry, guys.
And his family, Kamaya, Deuce, Braylon, and Braxton, to the Phoenix community as a whole. A few weeks ago, or about a week ago, we commenced a trade that allowed us to pursue and acquire one of the premier guards in this league, someone who's just not a great basketball player, but a great teammate and a great human being, a great family man, and someone that we believe represents the Phoenix Suns community and team the right way. And so with that, I'd like to kick it over to Coach Frank Vogel for some words.
How you doing, everyone? I also want to welcome not only Bradley, but Kamaya and Deuce and Braylon and Braxton to the Suns family. We want to make sure that we're building a family atmosphere and a family culture, and this is a welcome day for all of you guys. Bradley Beal is one of the best players in the NBA, and we're thrilled to have him be a Phoenix Sun with KD and Book. We form a trio of three of the most prolific scorers in the game, a great two-way center, one of the best two-way centers in the game, and these pieces are a great foundation for what we hope can be a championship run for this franchise. So with that, welcome, Bradley.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Phoenix, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, James, Coach Vogel, Josh, Matt Ishbia, like the entire organization. This is a dream come true. Sort of bittersweet being in DC for 11 years. I'm have a lot of emotionally ties to that city. My family was established there. So I just want to take a moment to thank the city of DC, thank the organization, for allowing this partnership to happen. And without their partnership, I wouldn't be here in front of you guys today. So I want to take a little moment to thank them. But I'm super excited for this opportunity. This is awesome for my family and I. A new change. Yesterday was my birthday, so I feel refreshed. I feel rejuvenated. This is an exciting moment for me. This is an awesome team. Like Coach said, we have a very, very awesome core that I'm just happy to be a part of and excited to push these guys every single day and learn from them as well. So my family and I look forward to meeting everybody here, engaging with everybody, with the city, with the fans, the community. I'm very big on being impactful as I can. So I look forward to meeting everybody, being as impactful as I can, and hopefully we can chase this ring.
Great. We'll now open to questions. Reminder to state your name and affiliation. Dwayne, you want to get started?
Dwayne Rankin, Arizona Republic. Wow, sorry. Dwayne Rankin, Arizona Republic. Welcome, Bradley, the Phoenix. Didn't realize it's going to jump off like that. First, obviously, you've been one of the premier players in the league, but haven't really had the playoff opportunities as of late. How important is that for you to know that you're with a team now that has a legit chance to win a championship?
Oh, it's huge. I think one of the biggest things we take for granted as players is, who's around you, the players around you and what they bring to the table every single day. And it's not easy to win in this league. And I think that's what a lot of people get kind of misconstrued. No matter how much talent you have, you still have to make it work. You have to still put in the work and go get the job done. But I'm super ecstatic that every single day I have a chance to play in a meaningful game. I think that's one of the biggest, decisions that impacted me of coming here, of knowing that every single night I'm going to be in an important game. Every single night I may have a chance of being on television. Every single night, teams are going to give us their best. So I look forward to that challenge, and also being in a position to where we're kind of a targeted team. So every single night I got to lace them up.
I had a quick follow, James. Obviously, a report out about Kyrie Irving and you guys meeting with him going into free agency. Could you address that?
What we do in free agency is an internal matter that we always keep internal. There are plenty great players that we'll talk to during this period. And so that's why I'll leave that.
Hey, James, back here. David Brandt from the Associated Press. There's been a lot of speculation about your role in the front office now that Matt Ishbia is here. That some people say you've got all this pull and some people say you've got no pull at all. Like, what is it like working with Matt, and how has your role changed under the new regime?
I mean, Matt's awesome. Like, he's been extremely awesome to work with. My role has expanded, as you see with this recent transaction that we made to acquire Bradley. But working with Matt, with Josh, with Frank has been great for me. It's allowed me to improve my team, and my team with me in basketball operations. We've been able to push forward with some really big, I'd say some like really high or big ask, and we've been able to accomplish it as a team. So it's been great working for him, and I look forward to it.
Bradley, Richard Sines, Fox 10 Phoenix, welcome to the Valley. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Like Coach Vogel said, you're one of the premier players in the league. And having said that, whenever opposing teams came to play your team, you were the guy that they had to focus on stopping. Now there's other options besides you on
Good
this
luck
team.
with that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what goes through your mind when you see how things could open up for you on the court with the guys you have around you?
I get antsy just thinking about it because I haven't had those opportunities. And it's the same with the other two guys and D8. Like, this is crazy. I met with these guys. It's the first thing James said. He said, okay, when we played you, we pretty much doubled you when you had the ball. He's like, but with us, who are you going to double team? Where are your rotations going to look like? And so, like, just that 2 seconds, I was like, damn, like that makes a lot of sense, So, but I'm excited about it. Like, you have a lot of dynamic scorers who the biggest box that we check is our unselfishness. All of us just want to compete. We want to play hard. And the biggest thing, we want to win, and I think we all have unbelievable talents that we respect, and we unselfishly push each other to be the best we could possibly be. So I'm looking forward to it. K, Dev, DA, like, these guys are a great core piece to the franchise. And I'm happy, like you said, that you can go guard Devin and K tonight, and I can chill a little bit and not face so many double teams. A little bit more open shots, I can work on my catch and shoot a little bit more. So you're good.
Hey, Bradley, Gerald Bourget, PHNX Sports. Welcome to the Valley and happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I just was curious. You mentioned it's a little bittersweet being in DC for your whole career and how much it meant to you to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Just how difficult a decision was it to come here, and what were kind of the factors that played into choosing Phoenix over anywhere else?
Oh, it was a difficult decision, honestly, but it all came down to Washington and their front office. I respect them and what they do, and I'm not going to get into what they do and other teams and the process of all that, because it was a tough one. I'm not going to sit here and say it was an easy one, and Phoenix knows better than anybody how tough of a decision that this whole process was. So out of respect for them and what they're trying to do in free agency, I'll let them answer those questions when time comes. I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited that this is a city and an organization that pretty much wanted me. And so more or less it's kind of go where you want it. that's kind of the message I received in this whole process. And again, I'm excited to be here and excited about the opportunity again.
Bradley, Doug Haller with The Athletic back here. The last couple seasons, you dealt with a lot of injuries. Just how frustrating was it to go through that? And was there anything that you learned just to come out of that?
Oh, 100%. I think the biggest thing is they were knickknacks. There were a few of them that I was a little hard-headed coming back from injuries and re-injured them and, prolonged my time out a little bit longer. But there's nothing that was structurally wrong with my body or anything. I required surgery. It was nothing that, damaged my body tremendously. So it's a few knickknacks that I work through. My body's in a lot better position now. This is the first summer I've had in 2-3 years in which I have a whole summer I can work out. In years past, I've been injured all the way through the year. Last year, I was recovering from wrist surgery, so I couldn't do anything till October, essentially. So this is the first summer I have legitly to work out and work on my body, and I take that to the heart as best as I can, and understand that this is my temple. So if I'm not available, that's not good. So that's the biggest thing for me. Good question.
Hey, Bradley. Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Valley. When you form a backcourt now with Devin Booker, obviously a lot of attention is brought to the scoring, but the two of you initiate offense a whole lot as well. How do you see that dynamic playing out given the complete offensive players that both of you are?
Pretty much probably what you said. Obviously we're going to ask this guy what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be playing. But I see it as being free flowing. Like, I don't think either of us really have a position. Like, he can create, he can, facilitate, he can shoot the ball, he can score the ball. And I could do the same, so it's not going to be a who plays point, who plays shooting guard. I think it's an interchangeable thing, and whoever gets it goes.
Yeah, we want to play with pace, so we're going to have a multiple ball handler attack in most possessions. But I love the fact that both Bradley and Devin have played point at phases of their career and can initiate offense, as can KD. And we also want to see how the rest of the roster shakes out, to see if we add a point guard. Campaign will be in the mix. All those decisions will play out in camp. But, we're going to play with pace and have a multiple ball handler attack.
Hey, I'm Barry Bloom from Sportico. Welcome, guys. Good to see you again. Good to see you too. This is kind of a general question. Now that you're forming your lineup for next year, what's your options on the fifth spot right now? And I know you have some of your own free agents that you'd like to re-sign. It's a little early, but where do you stand on that?
From a roster perspective, we'll have a ton of really qualified, great players that can fill that fifth spot. But luckily for me, I don't make those decisions. The players decide through competition, and coach has to make that tough choice.
Yeah, and I would add, the same thing. A campaign will get a look. We'll see what other free agents that we sign, and those answers will play out in camp.
James, did you think that was a detriment after the KD trade, that you trading the guys you did, that you wound up short not having an actual fifth guy?
No, I thought that we had enough. I thought that all of our guys, especially post-trade with a very tough adjustment period. Anytime you make a trade mid-season, it's a little disruptive. I thought our guys handled it well. I thought just at the end of the season, when it came down to the playoffs, we just didn't get it done.
Hey, Brad, I'm Dana Scott from Arizona Republic. Welcome to the Valley. Happy 30th.
Thank you, brother.
So I'm wondering, you're coming with your longtime protege, Jordan Goodwin, to the Valley. So being the St. Louis natives that you are, how does that feel to come with a soft landing, bringing him here? And how do you feel that him and your other former teammate, or your other teammate, Isaiah Todd, contribute to the team?
I'm excited about it. I think they're both it's unbelievably refreshing for them to get a new look and a new opportunity. I think Jordan is going to surprise a lot of people. A lot of people may not know who he is, but he is a nasty, tenacious defender who loves the game, who will compete at both ends of the floor. And Isaiah is a 6'9" athletic wing, and I think he'll get a lot of opportunities to be able to showcase his skills and his talents and his athleticism. I think they both will help us. They weren't just thrown in to be thrown in. Like, we value what they're able to bring in to the table and to the team. And like Coach said, it'll be a competition-based thing. So yeah, just as well as you're coming, you still got to compete and lace them up just like everybody else. So I'm ecstatic about those two because they're two dogs, they're two fighters, just what the team needs. So.
Coach Vogel, my question is about Jordan. What did you see in him when you first spoke to him the other day as he came to the practice facility, and how does he feel that he fits into your defensive scheme?
Yeah, well, he's a very compelling talent, and I think Bradley said it best. He's a tenacious defender with good size and physicality. And, we want, as we fill out the rest of our roster, we want to make sure that we're one of the most physical, toughest teams in the NBA. And Jordan at the guard position represents that. So I'm excited to watch him work.
Yes, Coach, I wanted to ask you about Ayton in terms of moving forward with him, and what do you see him fitting when you put those three out there with him on the floor?
Yeah, he's one of the best two-way centers in the game. I think obviously he's going to be a defensive anchor for us. I've long utilized his skill set in my defensive scheme to build a dominant defense. And I think he can do that. And I think there's a lot that we can untap offensively with him as well. So he's a pivotal part of what we're going to accomplish this year.
I'll follow up with you, Bradley, that you haven't played with a big like that. It's, I would say, Gortat in terms of an active guy, but not the skill set. Curious what that thought is of
Careful,
playing.
man. March might be mad.
I'm sure he is.
No, it's awesome. Like that's a good comparison. Like, you probably haven't had that type of talented big who can finish, roll, good touch, shoot the ball, finish in the paint, like since Gortat, and he's a little bit better. And I'm going to say that he's a lot better. And so I'm excited about it. Like, I haven't had a chance to play with this type of talent level ever, so it's going to be new for me. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be challenging, but I'm accepting the challenge in front of me. I'm accepting the work. I'm excited about it. I think DA can be a huge piece to our team. It's tough because we're on the outside looking in always, but I see his value. I think he's a really talented big, one of the best bigs in the league, and a willing defender. I think that's a lost art in our game too. So I think his impact is going to be huge this year for us.
I just had one last thing, just a couple of housekeeping things, James. Coaches said Cameron Payne a couple times in the mix. So are you guys fully guaranteeing his contract?
Say again?
Are you guys fully guaranteeing Payne's contract? Because coaches brought his name up a couple times in the mix.
Dwayne, we have this conversation all the time. Every time. What we do internally, we keep internal. And when we make these decisions, you will know.
Well, I got
not
at least
before
ask.
we make them, after we make them.
Well, I still got to ask.
No, I got you. I'm just making sure it's our thing.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one more that you get ready to give me the same answer.
Okay, then you don't have to ask it.
No, I'm going to ask one more to give me the same answer.
Sure, go ahead.
Basically, are you guys extending him a qualifying offer?
Dwayne.
Okay.
Once we make a decision, we will let you know.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you, sir.
Best press conference ever. This is so good.
Hey, Bradley, Jordan Spurgeon, Sports 360 AZ. Welcome to the Valley. You can see there's a lot of fun around here too. People are getting to know a little bit about you today. What do you want to know about the Valley and the fans and the people and all the places to explore here?
When does it stop being 115 and steaming hot out this joint? Because, oh my goodness, it was ridiculous. But I'm excited about food. I love food, so I need food spots. We're trying to find a house. So if the market's a little skyrocketed right now. It's a little different in the East Coast. So I'm trying to gather myself around that. But it's awesome. I love it. The cities. I'm a summer baby. Summer baby. So I love to be hot. I'm embracing this. My family, my boys love it. They're excited about it. My wife loves it. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to learn a lot about the Valley. Like Book is always in Flagstaff every week, so he's telling me he's going to take me a trip to go camping. I've never been camping, so please pray for me. And it's a lot of stuff. Now I'm very cultured. I love to be in the community. So whatever you guys got, I'm always open arms. I'm always open book, excited about everything.
Been eye on you in Flagstaff. Cool off up there for sure.
My man.
Hi, I got a couple of questions. This is Dave King with SB Nation. James, a question for you. You mentioned earlier your role has expanded in the past year with Matt Ishbia joining, as the new owner. But can you expand on your first few years as GM? It was really more like a contact, getting singles and doubles and triples, and then all of a sudden you're going for home runs with Kevin Durant. And Bradley Beal. What has changed in the mentality of the front office over the past several months, besides the obvious of Matt Ishbia in charge? Has more changed? Just
as a whole, we've been encouraged and charged with doing bigger things, right? So when you do bigger things, it requires more work, more output, and it requires more collaboration, more cooperation from the entire team. So that's what I mean when I say it's expanded. Like we're here to do great things, like not just be a good team, but be an elite great team. And it requires you chasing, pursuing, developing, building with great players and great coaches and a great staff. And so that's the exciting part. And that's why I said I love where we are right now, because we're talking about forming the best team in the NBA. And if that's not what you're here for, if that's not why you do it, then it's probably the wrong place for you.
Thank you. Next question is for Frank. You mentioned campaign a couple of times, and we're not going to talk about contract, but you mentioned Cam a couple of times. Do you see a need for having a floor general point guard out there, or do you see Booker and Beal as the starting backcourt?
I'm very comfortable with Beal and Booker as the starting backcourt, but we're going to explore, that fifth spot, potentially being a campaign or a point guard, and we're going to, explore it being, maybe a 3-4 type of defender position. Those things will play out in camp. I love the idea of getting those guys down the floor with a point guard and advancing it up to him and letting them attack. But I know that they can handle it on their own as well. And we've seen that through Book's career, through Bradley's career. And again, the pace that we want to play with, I think most possessions are going to have different ball handlers each time down. It's going to be a multiple ball handler attack, but I'm comfortable with those guys. But I do love what campaign brings to the table.
Bradley, Cameron Cox, 12 News. Welcome to the Valley. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What are you most excited about in this next chapter of your life here?
That's a great question. Just the journey in front. I don't have any control over it. It's tough because everybody knows I only know DC. That's all I know. So now I'm jumping into a whole new situation. It's fresh, new people, new faces, new organization, new people to meet. I'm embracing it all. I don't know what it'll bring. I don't know what type of challenges, adversity will come with it, but whatever comes with it, I accept it. I embrace it because it builds character. It helps build who you are. So I would say I'm living this next chapter of my life freely, peacefully, and just excited for the journey ahead, man. Because we try to control too much of our lives. We try to think we're God. We try to control way too much, man. Just let things happen naturally as they're supposed to, and see great things happen.
James, this one is for you. Hopefully you'll be able to answer this one. But I was just curious because obviously there's a ton of excitement about Bradley Beal, but I know for you, Chris was one of the first big moves that you made here and what he was able to do here. So just wanted to get your thoughts on his time in the Valley and what he meant to what you guys have built here so far.
I mean, you could just look at what happened over the last 3 years and you can see Chris's fingerprints all over it. I think people will remember this phase of Suns basketball, and Chris Paul will be a face that's vivid in your memory, etched in your memory forever. He's going to go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest point guard in the history of the game. And whenever you have that type of person with you, you're better. And so he made us tremendously better. And it's always bittersweet. It's always tough. And these are the moments of the game that really sting when you have to make decisions that impact your team, impact your community, impact your city. But it's always a little easier to deal with when you add someone of Brad's caliber, different, but still at that level.
Hey, Bradley, Mark McLuhan, 3TV, CBS 5, Arizona's family right here. Welcome to the Valley. Happy birthday. Hey, curious, you mentioned chasing the ring kind of right out of the box and the championship expectations here and in your years in the NBA. And as a leader, what have you noticed about what championship expectations do to a franchise when you're chasing that ring? And how do you keep it from being kind of the joy in chasing the championship and not the weight of the expectations?
I mean, it's tough because, the biggest thing is always keeping, the main goal. And, everything and anything can happen in the playoffs. Any team could be beat. Anything can happen. The biggest thing is just staying together, understanding that there's one goal at the end of the game, and that's to win it. Doesn't matter what stats look like. Doesn't matter what's going on. We're locked in one game at a time, and it's the first of 4, you know, and my biggest thing, I haven't got over the hump of the second round, you know, so that's going to be a new thing for me. I want to lean on the backs of a lot of guys who've been there, but also just leaning on my experience. I've been in the playoffs. I've played in big games. I embrace it all, you know, so I'm definitely excited for it. I understand that there's a huge expectation. We have an expectation for ourselves, but we're not going to make your expectations bigger than what ours are. And I think that's where I think a lot of teams crumble.
Bradley, first of all, same thing Mark said. Happy birthday. Welcome to the Valley.
Thank you.
I'm Doug Franz from the Doug Franz Unplugged podcast and WTSMTV.com. I don't know what you were like when you were 10 years old, but every year of your life with the basketball, you have been the alpha male on the team. You're the dog. Now, for the first time, I am guessing, in your life, you're still needed as a dog and a leader, but you're on a team with 2 other dogs. How do you balance both of what you've been, staying true to yourself, but at the same time knowing there's KD and Book beside you?
Oh, it's kind of similar to college. I'll rewind you. I would say when I went to Florida, I started at the 4. I had 3 guards that were already there, so people kind of looked at me like I was funny for going there. So it won't be any different. You know, you go in and you be who you are. They already told me from day one, we don't want you to come in and be anybody but yourself. We don't need you taking a back seat. Just be aggressive, be who you are. And Kay and Dev and DA are the same way. Like, they don't want anybody to come in and feel like you have to walk on eggshells. Like, we don't build. I don't look at the NBA like that. I don't look at it as, oh, it's my team. Oh, it's your team. Like, it's everybody. Like, we all got to compete. We all got to do this thing together and make it happen. But understand that, you know, this is Book Nation. Like, understand that this is his stomping grounds. This is his arena. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to be able to play with 2 Hall of Famers. You know, like, I've never done that, you know, so I'm excited about it. I'm excited what that brings. And they'll push me in ways I've never been pushed, you know, so I'm excited about that, and hopefully I can do the same.
We'll have 2 more questions live.
Eliav, goodbye, Sports 360 AZ. So obviously on your 19th birthday, you were drafted. Now, 11 years later, a day after your 30th birthday, you're introduced as a Phoenix Sun.
Yep.
What's it like to have that kind of full circle moment?
It is definitely full circle. I was telling them last week, I feel like I got drafted all over again. And ironically, this is the same tie we're on draft night. So it's definitely coming back full circle. I'm just enjoying it, man. This is an awesome opportunity again. Just to compete every single night in meaningful games. Like, that's so important to me. And then having an organization whose goals are all aligned. We're all focused on one goal, and we're going to do everything in our power to try to achieve that thing.
Richard Science, Fox 10 again. Bradley, thanks for all the great answers to the questions, but this is for Coach and James. You guys have both won championships. You guys have been on championship teams. You know what a championship team looks like, whether on paper, character-wise, in the locker room. With this new piece to the puzzle and Bradley Beal, how much closer are you guys to getting that championship team?
Tremendously closer. He's one of the best players in the league, and anytime you add a player like Bradley Beal to a core and foundation that we already have, your chances enhance greatly. And you know, Bradley hasn't always had the pieces around him, to win a championship. But there was an old saying that we used to say back when I was in Indiana, and I was able to carry it through it with the Lakers. The champions behave like champions before they're champions. And I believe Bradley's carried himself that way and performed that way throughout his career. And hopefully now he's got the pieces around him to help him achieve that goal.
I believe what Coach said is 100% true. For us, I always look at the game as like you want to have an advantage at as many positions as possible every night. And adding Brad, truly believe, every night we're going to walk out there with 4 of the 5 best players on the floor at those positions. And so great players carry greater expectations. And it's really good when they're really good. The really good players make it easy to meet those expectations. So he's pushing us closer. We have a lot of work to do. It's a really tough task, really difficult. The hardest thing you'll ever do in the sport of basketball is win a championship. But we have players capable of excelling at that level, and they know how hard it is, and they embrace it. So I think we're well positioned to meet our goal.
Better now with this.
I think so. I mean, it's about, like, I'll be pushed. Last time I was around, that was Russ, right? Seeing Russ every single day, his work ethic, his mentality, like, that took my game to another level. And I think it'll be the same thing here. You know, when around a championship coach, around KDUS too, Book, who's played in the finals, EDA has played in the finals, like, their mentality is going to be a lot different than what I've seen. So I'm excited for it. I think it'll propel my game. It'll prepare my mentality. And I'm excited for it.
Thanks everyone for your questions. We'll conclude with a quick photo op on stage here.
Holy crap, dude. I'm so glad we went live for this. That was the funniest, sort of intense, best press conference in Phoenix Suns history. You heard it here. Best press conference ever, dude. I don't even know what happened.
I've been watching the press conferences since the Suns put them on the internet.
Dude, oh my God.
Back in the early 2000s. This was the best one for sure. This was really, all the questions were great, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone asked really good questions. There were some uncomfortable questions, right? Like asking about Kyrie, like, dude, that news just came out like 30 minutes before the press conference. That was kind of ballsy. I like that question.
I could not keep it together. That's why I hopped on the mic and said, best press conference ever. I was dying.
That was
my
good. That was really good. That was just like chock full of content, man. Really good.
Steve, I don't even know where to begin, man. Like, I tried to take as many notes as possible, and I was following Twitter. Thank goodness for Twitter, because there were certain quotes I missed. And we can even react to some clips too as well. So Steve, let me just take a deep breath here. Let me just relax for a minute. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. What are your initial takeaways, your thoughts? Was there any key quotes just right out of the gate? Because I wrote down a few, and we can talk about the Kyrie stuff and the free agency stuff and the awkwardness and all that. But what are your initial thoughts, man?
Well, I like how Coach introduced him, saying Brad's one of the best players in the NBA.
That's one of my first notes I took. Yeah.
That's great, because as a coach, as a player, that's important. That helps build relationships. That helps Brad know like where he stands with his, new coach. Beal turned 30, obviously, as we know.
Yep.
This is just like such a great time in your life for a change of scenery. 30 years old now. Like, couldn't have been better timing. Like, right before you turn 30, you're leaving Washington behind.
The only team besides college and high school you've ever known.
This is all he's known.
Yep.
And I'd taken some notes, guys, prior to about some things I wanted to talk about, and I was messaging Brandon. It's funny because they're talking about things that I wanted to discuss. Like, for instance, if anyone who's hooped before, who plays basketball, you guys will know this as well, but Brad's the guy on the Wizards that every team uses their defensive game plan to stop Brad, because the guys around Brad weren't great.
Yeah.
The Wizards teams have not been good, right? We all
Even
know
with
that.
John Wall, they weren't like super great,
No, they weren't. And the John Wall, that didn't last super long over there in Washington, but Brad's been the main guy. So every night the defense is built around how do we stop Brad Beal? And if you look like at his stats, but his shooting percentage, field goal percentage, 3-point is very good. So now we're putting him here in Phoenix with Book and KD and maybe DA as of right now, DA, right?
But you guys have no bench or draft picks. Sorry,
I
had to
know.
say that.
It's just, man, the looks that these guys are gonna get, the open looks, because every night, every team we play, they're going to have to pick their poison.
Yep. Preach.
Every night. And so this is exciting for, they even asked Brad, like, what do you think about it? You know, like, have you thought about it much? And he said, I get antsy just thinking about it, you know, because it's exciting. Like, finally. And again, I've hooped my whole life. I know how this goes. I know what it's like when defenses are always collapsing on you, and it can be tough. But when you have other guys on your team that can score, it really opens up the floor, makes everything so much easier. Now we're talking about Beal playing with, obviously, a first ballot Hall of Famer in KD. And in my opinion, probably your guys' is too, Booker's a first ballot Hall of Famer as well.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, this is exciting in just so many ways. And these are things that I'm sure, Brandon, you were thinking, everyone in chat, you guys were thinking this too, about how much easier it's going to be for all these guys to score. But they really did a nice job illustrating it with their words, with the answers in the press conference today. Very exciting. I mean, God, the answers couldn't have been any better. You guys were all saying it too. Brad Beal, very well spoken.
Yeah.
You could tell he's a high IQ. This is really exciting.
Absolutely, man. First off, thank you to everybody who watched along live, because you just witnessed my reaction and at one of the most best, hilarious press conferences in Suns history. But yeah, man. And again, we're going to go over all of this. Like, we have more than just the press conference to talk about, because there was the Kyrie question. There was some free agency questions about campaign and a lot of DA talk, which I do want to touch on later. But just real quick. Now, my apologies, everybody. We did miss maybe the first minute of whatever the press conference, but it was just James Jones doing the introduction. From what I did catch from that, though, I guess I'll actually start with this. James Jones said Bradley Beal is one of the best players in the NBA, and then he did his usual routine. But then when Bradley Beal was talking, he said he's super excited for the opportunity. We have a very awesome core. He said that he wants to push these guys and learn from these guys at the same time. And one thing that I loved right away was Bradley Beal said, he wants to be part of the city, be impactful, and then be with the fans and all that, and then also go get this ring. So I can tell. Now, I don't have any sources on this or whatever, but it seems like Bradley Beal might get involved with the community and do charity events and all that stuff, which you should, especially if you're getting paid that kind of money. But I loved how he said, go get this ring. Let's get this ring. And then another thing too, he said he was super thankful to play in meaningful games every single night. And that kind of spoke to me, because it wasn't too long ago, Steve, when we had two or three national televised games a year. And then he also mentioned how we're going to be a targeted team. Teams are going to give us their best every night. And he seems pumped, man. He seems really excited. Those are just a couple quick takeaways. Again, I have a few more notes we're going to go over, but yeah. Any other takeaways that you wrote down or quotes or?
Yeah, well, Brad, like I said, he seems very, very dialed in to what we're doing. Everyone, it just seems very apparent that everyone's on the same page. And it's been apparent since the Ishbia takeover. Right? Since Matt came over here, we had our first press conferences. We had the KD press conference, so on and so forth. Everyone just seems to super be on the same page, which is what you need if you're trying to win a championship. One thing I thought was interesting, there's a couple things actually. I had no idea, and I'm guessing no one else did. If you did, give yourself a pat on the back. I had no idea Bradley Beal played some time at the 4 position in Florida.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
That's wild. You can't be playing a 4 position in college basketball unless there's some dog in you.
And you're 6'3" or whatever. Yeah, he's 6'3". That's the first thing I thought of.
I mean, the only person to do that, as we all know, and dominate was pretty much Barkley at 6'4". He's the only one to dominate on the boards and in the post and the paint. So that was pretty cool. I was surprised to hear that. I was like, really? You played some 4? Yeah, excited to push teammates, like you said, the community. the fact that he's excited that we're going to be a targeted team.
Yep.
I love that, like you said. And he even mentioned that he's always been the targeted guy, and now teams won't be
Yep.
able to just zero in on that target. There's
He mentioned
multiple targets.
He mentioned how he's going to like have more catch and shoot opportunities and all that. Kind of jokingly said that, but it's true.
There were some other notes here that I had on Beal, just a couple other ones.
Yeah.
You know, this last season, if I was looking at his career totals, but he's coming in at the highest field goal percentage of his career.
Yep.
He's coming off 50.6% from the field last year.
He had a good season when he was healthy. He just, it gets overlooked.
It does. Again, as you guys should know, USA basketball, he did everything with KD and Book on that USA team. He just missed playing in the actual Olympics because of COVID.
Yeah.
That was it. He didn't get hurt. He wasn't injured. So he did everything else. He did all the practices because it's a commitment.
Yep.
When you're selected to the team, it's a multi-year commitment. And being part of that builds a lot of character. You know, iron sharpens iron. Hanging out with those guys, being in the gym together, that makes you a better player. So, yeah, he didn't play in the actual Olympics, but he did everything else, which is awesome. And, you know, damn COVID, unfortunately. Another odd thing, this is for all the old people here, but obviously he turned 30 yesterday. And so that means he was born in 1993, which, as we all know, is the year Suns went to the finals against the Bulls. And so I was looking at it. I'm like, June 93, that was when we were in the finals, actually. He was born 2 days after the Suns 93 finals parade.
Let's go.
I'm like, that's pretty interesting. Like,
right.
It makes you feel old.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's kind of funny. But again, guys, he's played his entire career on a pretty much bad team. Like, you know how excited he's going to be to play with the Suns? This is going to be complete opposite of what he's been used to.
So I'm not the best note taker. So I was trying to write, excuse my voice. I was trying to write down who said what, but there was a couple, I think it was Frank Vogel and Bradley Beal, who both pretty much said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Beal, Booker, KD can all play point, which they can all play make and everything. But I heard this maybe 3 times, multiple ball handler attack. I love that, man. And I slightly referenced that, you know, like in post live shows and when we went live, it's like, yeah, like, you know, the point guard stuff is to be determined. Who knows what's going to happen with Kyrie and campaign, but like we pretty much have 3 point guards on the team, if you think about it. And again, this is a conversation for another time, like rotations, minutes, you know, 2 of them at least are going to be on the court at all times. Prior to the Bradley Beal trade, you knew at least Book or KD were going to be on the court at all times. And look, yes, the playoffs were disastrous for the most part. Didn't go our way, obviously. But during the regular season, we saw how much space KD had at times. Booker played at a completely different level just for the fact that KD was on the court. You know what I mean? I mean, he was putting up like, for him anyways, statistically great numbers for Booker.
Yeah.
So now adding Bradley Beal to this, and I think you referenced it earlier, like teams are going to have to pick their poison every single night. And if we keep DA, that's just another target they're going to have to figure out. And who knows we're going to bring on in free agency. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm really excited. And I don't really know. Like, I'm kind of just looking over my notes, trying to go on with what I want to say. And we can talk about this later if you want. But there was a lot of Ayton talk in this. And real quick, someone said it in the chat earlier, but I kind of feel bad for Bradley Beal too. This was supposed to be like Bradley Beal's presser. And they spent a lot of time talking about DA and Kyrie and free agency. Just wanted to say that I kind of felt bad for Bradley Beal. Now, look, let's be real. He understands it. It's a business. He probably doesn't care. It's not going to be a problem, you know, next week. But I feel a little bad, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he understands the big picture. I think he understands that everyone in Phoenix is super hyped for this season. We're starving for a championship.
Someone even said he was like a lot of excitement here, or he said that or something. So he knew.
Yeah, the energy's high. Everyone knows it.
Real quick, just saying, oops, I just had it a minute ago. Not necessarily something that we didn't know, but my guy Flex from Jersey did tweet something and the chat's going crazy over it. So we got to read it.
Yeah, I was just reading it as well.
Yeah. So again, this comes from Flex from Jersey, but Frank Vogel mentioned multiple times that our fifth man could be a point guard. I did write that down actually, and mentioned Payne as a possibility. That's clearly a hint that they would be willing to play another point guard with Book and Beal. Now replace Payne with a certain all-star point guard, and you can see where this is going, folks. And then he's put the little emoji, thank chess, not checkers. That's Flex from Jersey with a little flex bomb. And I feel like we kind of talked about it and kind of have gone over it. Any thoughts from that little flex bomb just now?
I mean, I think he's talking about Kyrie.
Yeah.
Flex has always had that stance about Kyrie that it's not over. It's just things take time.
I'm sharing it on the screen right now, the Flex's tweet. But what was I going to say, Steve? We were DMing each other in the private chat, and you said something like, "There's something going on, like stuff is being worked behind the scenes." And if the press conference didn't prove that, like, I don't know what will. Like, and let me just zoom in so everybody can see Flex's tweet here. Oops, that's not it. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. But something's going on, Steve, because obviously there was the awkward question with Dwayne Rankin and Kyrie, and James Jones used the word internal and even kind of called out Dwayne Rankin, saying it's internal. We've had this conversation before. Stop asking us, which was fucking hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, that was good shit.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Like, there's been times where GMs and coaches and players gotten mad at reporters or frustrated. Like, we saw the viral Giannis thing,
Yeah.
when he got kind of mad at that one reporter. Said,
That was
"We've
a good
talked
one."
about this." Yeah. But holy cow, man, I've never seen that before in a Suns. I don't even know what I'm saying. My mind is going all over the place, but
It was funny because Dwayne's like, I have to ask this.
yeah,
Like, I have to. This is my job.
He's right. He's right.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
But
So,
not really
funny.
the time, Dwayne. Not right now. Oh my God, man. But let's move on here. Again, Flex's tweet is on the thing. We were talking that something is definitely in the works here, Steve. I'm really excited, but let's keep going on with some quotes here. We'll talk about Ayton later, but Bradley Beal sort of said a Frank Vogel quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was when Frank Vogel was talking about the team's expectations compared to everybody else's. Bradley Beal legit said that. So I wonder if he's been talking to Frank Vogel a little bit. And I think you mentioned it in the chat. You said something like, seems like the guys are all on the same page for the most part. And quick side note, how we were talking about Beal and Booker and KD? Bradley Beal said that him and Booker are going to go camping in Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Holy crap. And I put in the chat, building chemistry off the court. I'm sure you saw those clips of KD and Booker in the Bahamas practicing. I'm sure they probably went out and had fun and all that also, but they were at that club a while ago or whatever. So they've had their chemistry. Now Book and Beal are going to hang out in Arizona. Like, I love this, man. This is great. And again, just Bradley Beal's like excitement and him being kind of self-aware to the current direction of the franchise right now. Talking with Frank Vogel, saying Frank Vogel-ish things. That's huge, man.
Yeah, it's huge. And the chemistry building is obviously super important. When KD got here, we didn't have time to build chemistry. We didn't have time to really do anything, right? I mean,
especially with the KD
coach didn't even have
injury.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, between the injury and coach doesn't even have time to build an offensive scheme, really, for the most part. It looked like we winged it half the time out there. But this is huge. The fact that they're in the Bahamas, Dan Bickley was talking about it on Arizona Sports on the radio. But it's like, how exciting. Like Booker, KD, both super successful professional athletes, single guys, hanging out in the Bahamas, no wife, no kids. And he's just talking about how much fun that must be. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, dude, you're not wrong. Pick Lit, you're not wrong, man. It sounds real fun.
Can we react to a great clip real quick? We just have to do it, man. I know you saw this already, but this is Devin Booker's team, baby.
Understand that, you know, this is Book Nation. Like, understand that this is his stomping grounds. This is his arena. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to be able to play with 2 Hall of Famers. Understand that, you know.
I love how he casually dropped 2 Hall of Famers. And we talked about it a minute ago. Oops, sorry, I'm doing some thing over here. But anyways, yeah, casually dropped that Devin Booker's a Hall of Famer. I love that, man. That's the highest praise you want to hear from your new teammate. It'd be like if you and I worked in the same company or something and I said something like really great about you. That's what you'd want to hear from me being a new employee, man.
It's respect. It's very classy.
And you know what? I have to get a little salty here for a minute. Please forgive me, Suns fans. I got kind of roasted a long time ago in the comment section because I made a video and a live stream saying, this is still Devin Booker's team. And some fans didn't like that. And now if that doesn't prove that this is Devin Booker's team, I don't know what will. Sorry, guys. I had to be salty about that. But yeah, this is incredible, man. Let me go on to a couple more quotes and then maybe we'll move on to the DA stuff and the Kyrie stuff and campaign and all that. Something James Jones said, and I know that we all hate the Spurs, you know, but let's be real. Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of all time, even if not the greatest. But James Jones said a very Greg Popovich thing. He pretty much said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said that they want to build the best team in the NBA, and if that's not for you, this isn't the team for you. Very Greg Popovich there. And the reason I like that is because, let's be real, ever since Chris Paul got here and everything, it's like, you got to come here to work, man, every single night, every single practice. And it's also the off the court stuff too. You got to communicate, you got to work. It's like you said with the Olympics, it's like a commitment. You know, you got to be 100% in. And I like how he said that. And then kind of going back to like the ball handling and the point, who's going to run point and all that. Again, paraphrasing, but James Jones pretty much said, we want to have an advantage every night at every single position. And then Frank Vogel said this quote. I don't know who originally said this quote, but he said, champions behave like champions before they're champions.
Yeah.
Dude, we're talking about champion people, championship players, championship program and team franchise. This is huge, man. That's the kind of stuff I want to hear from my head coach and my new star player and from my GM, man. Just had to get those quick notes out of the way, man.
That was one of my favorite quotes of the whole thing was the champions behave like champions before they're champions.
DeAndre Ayton. Sorry. I'm sorry. I had to say that.
Yeah. I like that a lot though. You know, and that was a nod from coach to Brad Beal. You know, that just because you were on a bad team doesn't mean that you don't have that championship mindset and pedigree, because here you are now, you're on the Suns and the game plan is to go out and win a championship.
And I don't know if you caught this. I think it might've been, it was either JJ or Frank Vogel, but one of them said it's really hard to win a championship in the NBA. And Bradley Beal immediately went, yup. Like, I was like, holy crap, man. It's like, yeah, we can sit here and give our opinion and all that, but like, we've never played in the NBA, man. Like Bradley Beal has. It's like, these guys know. They know how hard it is to win in this league. And that's sort of like why I'm a little optimistic about why this might work. Because it's like, if Bradley Beal knew this was going to be a disaster, I don't think he would have came here. Just saying. Obviously, if it will work is yet to be determined. And James Jones also said this. There's still a lot of work to do. And I think he was talking on the court as well.
Yeah.
And we've been saying this from day one, man, especially with KD. Like, and we saw it. It's not going to be pretty every night. We will lose games with Bradley Beal. And I'm sure I'm going to be frustrated after some games. Let's be real. But that's what happens, man. I mean, you know, we've seen like, you know, Luka and Kyrie didn't work right away. And so many other examples. The Miami Heat, you know, the Heatles, that first year they lost.
Yeah.
I remember they lost their first game, I believe. Their very first game, they got like blown out. So like, it's going to take time. And, you know, if you want, Steve, we can kind of put a bow on this and kind of talk about the DA stuff, talk about the campaign stuff, and whatever else I missed. I'm trying to check Twitter to make sure I didn't miss any key quotes, but any final takeaways in terms of just this part of the press conference? We can talk about everything else in a minute, but yeah.
I'm only more excited.
Yeah.
This boosted my excitement.
Yeah.
It was great to hear Brad talk.
Yeah.
Like I said, very well spoken. You can tell he's high IQ.
Yep.
He's dialed in. He's ready. It seems like he wishes the season started tomorrow. He's probably going to be antsy all summer. He's probably going to be itching for the first day of pre-training camp, not the actual training camp, but when we open the doors. He seems super excited. It seems like everybody is. The energy feels very good. Sitting from here at home, it feels like the energy in that press conference was pretty electrifying. So it's exciting times, guys.
And you know what? Just real quick, that goes back to when Matt Ishbia had his press conference. Like, I felt legit inspired after Matt Ishbia's press conference. And I recommend everybody to go back and listen to that, not just for the Sun stuff, but just some of the stuff Matt Ishbia was talking about, man. And that's why I wanted to reference that Frank Vogel quote about behaving like champions before you win a championship and all that. Some inspiring stuff. So my final thoughts in terms of Bradley Beal, and don't worry, guys, we're not going anywhere just yet. We got more to talk about. Is Bradley Beal seems super excited. You know, like you mentioned, well-spoken. He's a veteran in this league. He knows what he's doing. And, you know, as I mentioned, he looks like he's going to get involved in certain community events. He looks like he's going to embrace the fans. And again, as he mentioned, let's go get this ring. That's all that matters. That's why he's here. That's why Frank Vogel's here. Go get a championship. And I'm excited, man. Shout out to Bradley Beal. Happy birthday to him as well. I also like how you kind of reference, like, he just turned 30, just left the only professional basketball team he ever knew. New chapter in his life, man. New city. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped, man. This is going to be exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is a great time for him. And he couldn't be joining a better team.
Yeah.
This is perfect for him.
Like, even if he went to Miami, like, yeah, they just went to the finals, but it would have been a little different. You know, it's just, this is the perfect situation for him.
Yeah, Miami's as we know, excellent organization.
Top to bottom.
Classy.
Yeah.
You got the Godfather over there, Pat Riley. You got Spoelstra. I have a lot of adoration for them.
Same here.
But nobody picked them to go to the finals. They're not the favorites to come out of the East next year.
Yeah.
You know, that's still going to be probably Boston and Milwaukee.
Yep.
Now, on the other hand, the Suns and the Nuggets are the favorites, right?
Yeah.
Safe to say we're still the favorites to come out of the West.
Yep. Absolutely.
And now we've added Brad Beal.
And real quick, speaking of that, don't always focus on what ESPN is saying about top 5 teams in the West, because they hate us. We could have Giannis and LeBron and Curry, and they would still pick us to be like second or third. You know what I mean? They just hate us. But anyways, I'm a little bitter and salty today. I got to be honest with certain things, but
yeah,
it's true though.
ESPN is Disney sports.
Exactly.
Make believe. It's fantasy, guys.
So Steve, let's sort of turn the conversation here to DA. And we slightly referenced it earlier, because one thing I took away was just how quickly they talked about DA. It was like early in the press conference. Bradley Beal said some great things about him. Frank Vogel, as Flex mentioned, I believe, keeps talking about him. He talked about him in a recent podcast, which I think it was like The Volume. I think he might have said some good things about him on Arizona Sports just recently. He's been on a couple different podcasts or whatever.
He did this week.
Yeah.
I was listening. I stopped to fill up my gas, and the interview just came on. And so I was like, I can't turn my car off yet to fill up the gas because I want to hear this. And so, yeah, I think it was Tuesday. He was on with Arizona Sports, and I was texting my cousin as well. And he's like, you know, are you listening right now? And he talked about DA so much. And I just feel like he just keeps building up DA. Like like he's rebuilding his confidence and his character, because I got to imagine DA hears some of this, right? And to know that, hey, we're going from a coach that, we all liked Monty, everyone liked Monty, right? But they didn't have a good relationship anymore. Whatever happened there. So he's trying to build him back up again. And it really feels like that's what's going on here. And it's great because he needs that. DA needs that.
100%. I'm going to piggyback off everything you said. Look, I actually give DeAndre Ayton a lot of credit because he stays off of social media for the most part. I'm sure he might occasionally hop on Twitter and read things and see Suns Geek talking crap about him like I do, but does he care? No. I hope he's using it as fuel. And I said this, man, during the Frank Vogel press conference. I hope DeAndre Ayton was listening, or at least went back and listened. Because again, that's what you want to hear from your head coach, man. And I love how Frank Vogel keeps talking about him. As of right now, June 29th at 2:46 my time, which is 12:46 your time, I believe. It's like, it looks like DeAndre Ayton's staying in Phoenix, man. And real quick, Bradley Beal said this, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. He said, I think DA could be huge for our team. He called him a willing defender, which, by the way, that goes back to Bradley Beal actually plays in the NBA and knows that for a fact. And he said he thinks his impact will be huge for us. So looks like Bradley Beal's on board with keeping DeAndre Ayton. I don't think they would have just said that. And let's be real. Anything could happen, obviously. Saying, hey, Bradley, we're going to trade Ayton. Sorry, man. Like, I know you wanted to play with. Sorry, Frank Vogel, but we're trading him. But it seems like Frank really wants him. And there was another quote. I don't know if he used the word utilized, but Frank Vogel says something like he's wanted a defensive center like DeAndre Ayton. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, and he has said that in a variety of different formats.
Yeah.
Be it on Arizona Sports or in press conferences, wherever it's been. He has said that. And that is part of Frank Vogel's defense. Anthony Davis played that role in LA.
Yep.
Roy Hibbert played that role with the Pacers. And even recently, he was comparing DA to Roy Hibbert, but way more athletic and way more talented.
Right.
Roy Hibbert he was very good. And another thing with Roy is that, and this is one thing about DA that I've always said this from the beginning, and people who know basketball know this. He alters so many shots.
Oh, yeah.
So just because he doesn't average,
over a block a game,
he's altering people's shots because of his wingspan, because he is a willing defender, because he does protect the paint. If this was 2K, he's got a Hall of Fame anchor badge because he's altering shots all the time.
Yep.
So there's always got something to be said for that. That's something that does not show up in the stat sheet, but I will say that is something that would show up on analytics. That's what analytics looks at. They look at stuff like that. They look at the deflections too. That's another thing, you might not average a steal a game, but you average 5 deflections.
And I will say, I need to do a better job in my coverage of talking about that stuff on the channel, especially during the post games. And look, even though I'm a little critical of Ayton's body language at times, sometimes him just being out there is impactful. As Bradley Beal mentioned, a willing defender. You know what I mean? Just saying.
Yeah. Sometimes his body language sucks.
Yeah. We've all
but
seen.
I'm glad he has emotion.
Yeah.
You got to look at it from both point of view. Yeah. Sometimes I don't like his body language, but hey, at least there's emotion in there. At least there's something stirring inside him.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, man, I made a video just about it yesterday, talking all about it. And I pretty much just said, if Frank Vogel, after hyping up DA, especially now, and Bradley Beal and KD and Booker can't unlock Ayton, truly unlock him, I don't think anybody can, man. So that's why I made that video. And I wasn't trying to get clickbait. I wasn't trying to get the views. I was just telling you how it is, man. This kind of feels like DeAndre Ayton's last chance with the Suns.
Yeah, I would agree with the Suns. And if Monty couldn't unlock him, and if Vogel hypothetically can't, there's only one person, one coach who I think would have a chance, and that's Pop. But
even then, who knows? Like Greg
who
Pop.
knows?
That's why I referenced what James Jones said. It sounded like a very Greg Popovich thing, because if Greg Popovich doesn't like you, man, you're gone. Doesn't matter if you were the 8th pick, the first pick, you're gone, man. Like maybe that's the exception for Wembanyama, but you know what I mean? Like if Wemby wasn't a hard worker and was very catered or whatever, I'm sure Greg Popovich would, just saying. But
I agree.
It's going to be crazy though, man. And again, I just want to kind of repeat what Flex said and something I sort of referenced to. As of right now, it seems like Ayton is staying in Phoenix, but you never know, man. It could be a random August day and Ayton gets traded or something. Just saying, you never know. It could be middle of January or before the deadline. But Ayton's got to bring it, man. Each and every single night, he's got to bring it. And statistically, he's got to get a little bit better, even though we just had the block shots conversation and altering shots. But he's got to have better body language, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I made a whole video talking all about this. Everyone go check it out. But yeah, man, this was, again, one of the best press conferences ever. You look like you got something on your mind over there, Steve. What are you looking at over there?
Just thinking about DA, just in general. I've thought about him a lot. I'm sure everybody has. Everyone in the chat, Brandon, I'm sure we've all thought about DA a lot, and what life would be like without him. What we could get for him, this and that. Do we really want to part ways with him? Do we not? There's been so much back and forth. And ultimately, I guess I'm glad that it's not my decision and it's not yours and it's not any of our decision. This is up to James Jones, Matt Ishbia, and I trust him. I think we all trust who's running the Suns now.
Yeah.
So, hey, wherever the chips lie, right? I'm good with it.
There was a quote where James Jones, maybe he was just talking about the rotations or something, but he said something like, "I'm not in charge of that." I forgot what that was. I'd have to go back and look at it, but I was like, what? And even Bradley Beal kind of had a look on his face like, what? I don't know what James Jones was saying. Maybe he was just saying, the game and the rotations, but that kind of scared me a little bit. But Dave King tweeted this out, and I want to make sure I'm getting this right. I think it was on him and Matt Ishbia's relationship. Let me just scroll down real quick. He said, give me a second here, guys. I'm sorry. Well, he said something along the lines of like, me and Matt's relationship is great. My role has expanded or something. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, and it's obviously clear, Matt Ishbia is definitely running the show, but maybe James Jones is right. Maybe his role is expanded. At first I thought Josh Bartlestein was sort of kind of James Jones's boss, and I guess technically he is, but I guess Josh Bartlestein is sort of in charge of the business side of operations, not really, you know what I mean? Not really like a James Jones kind of role, but I could be wrong on that. And then, there's the Isaiah Thomas stuff, which again, Chris Paul had some strong words to say. So don't really know where I'm going with that. But apparently to James Jones, he loves Matt Ishbia and his role has expanded. So,
which is, it's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to hear. I like James.
Yeah. And he seems very honest and true. And again, just that whole exchange with Dwayne Rankin was classic. That was
good stuff.
One of the funniest moments ever. And look, I'm not saying Dwayne Rankin's a bad reporter. Seems like a nice guy and everything. And at the end of the day, he's got to ask those tough questions. But bad timing. I feel bad a little bit for Bradley Beal. And real quick, just a quick side note. Somebody who I follow, who's a big Wizards fan, who I've sort of been engaging with on Twitter. I hope I'm saying his name right. Greg Feinberg said, and he's talking about this from a Wizards perspective. He said, after watching the Bradley Beal opening presser in Phoenix, seems like the Wizards front office told him they preferred to move on. gave him time to overthink his options and what was the best decision. He said the Suns were the only true destination because, Miami was sprinkled in there a little bit. And then Bradley Beal did talk about this. He said it was very hard for him to leave DC. And he's right. That's a good summary from like the Wizards perspective of this press conference. And Bradley Beal, did talk about how it was a tough decision. And, we've already referenced it, how that's like the only team he's ever known. So I don't know, man.
I'm looking through Twitter as well.
Yeah.
And interesting tweet from Espo.
Yeah.
And this is kind of along the lines that we were talking about in the pre-show about Kyrie. And he said if there were ever a top talent to shock the NBA world by doing something crazy, like taking the veteran minimum, it would be Kyrie. And that's what we're talking about during the pre-show, is that Kyrie doesn't care a ton about the money.
Right.
He has money. He's made money. The way he talks about it seems like he's probably saved his money and he can go do whatever he wants. Whatever he wants that's going to make him happy is what he cares about. But the money won't make him happy because he's made money and been in unhappy situations, right?
Right.
Like they went through the Brooklyn experiment. It didn't go good.
Yeah.
So again, I gotta say, that's where my head's at too, is that I know we don't have the money to give him a huge contract, and I don't think that matters.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially as we get closer and closer here to July 1st. We go into the 4th of July weekend. There's going to be a lot of moves made, and Brandon, I'm sure you want to talk about this as well, but about some of the names that are out there.
Yeah.
For the Suns.
Yeah, so we can kind of, move on to the next topic because, again, we don't know what's going to happen with the Kyrie thing. But there actually has been a little bit of Suns news. Now, I think I actually didn't put this in the original show notes for you and I. But according to the Arizona Sports, and I read this in a recent article, they said Thursday is also the deadline for the Suns to extend the qualifying offers to Darius Bazley, Campaign, who was referenced in the press conference, and Saben Lee. But recently it was reported that Jock Landale got the qualifying offer and Saben Lee got a two-way qualifying offer.
Yep.
And then Ish Wainwright, apparently, like his thing was exercised. Looks like he might be staying, I assume. But, and again, who knows what happens with Kyrie and all that. But there's been some other news, Steve. I don't know what you want to touch on first. It was reported that this comes from Mark Stein, who definitely is plugged in. Sometimes he's the first to break stuff before Woj and Shams and all that. And I did make a video on one of these players, this was before the Bradley Beal trade, but according to Mark Stein, as Phoenix Suns scars the league for quality players willing to play for the league minimum and chase a ring around the supporting cast of Booker, Beal, KD, Nets sharpshooter, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Yuta Watanabe, and the Nets alums, Mike James, former Phoenix Sun, by the way, Durant's close friend who played this past season at AS Monaco, I hope I'm saying that right, in the EuroLeague, have surfaced as potential targets. So real quick recap, Ish seems like he's staying. Jock Landale, Campaign, they got the qualifying offers, two-way qualifying offer or whatever. And now Yuta Watanabe and Mike James potentially to the Suns if Kyrie doesn't come here.
Saben Lee.
Yeah.
And I also heard that Damian Lee is one of the surest candidates to sign with the Suns.
Yeah. I think that broke right before the KD stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So one other name that Gambo mentioned was Bates Diop.
Yeah. Keita Bates Diop.
And Yeah, he's only been in the league for 2 years. And both years he played under Greg Popovich. It's always good when you can get someone who's played with Pop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they just come they come to the team with a better team concept, I think.
Right. Yeah.
It's just good pedigree. It's a good foundation, right?
Yeah.
And again, yeah, Mike James, he didn't play in the league last year.
Yep.
But he played, and I presume that the AS Monaco basket team that he played for is in the Euro League.
Yep. I believe they just won a championship, and I could be wrong, but I think Katie actually went to a game over there recently. I remember tweeting about that. I want to say it was Mike James's team. And
think you're right.
Fun fact, Elia Kobo's on that team as well. So
yeah. Elia Kobo.
I don't know if they won a championship, but he's been over there for a little bit.
Had high hopes for him.
Right. Me too.
Watanabe, I feel like kind of headlines. He's kind of the headliner, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bates Diop is, I think, would be a good sign too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Utah's apparently, from everything I've heard, very good friends with KD.
Yeah.
Very close. He's 6'9", shot 44% from downtown last season. He made 63 pointers. Just to give you an idea, it's not like he only shot like 23s or something. He actually put up a decent amount of volume, which I was genuinely interested in.
He was one of the snubs of the 3-point contest. Let me just say that.
Oh, yeah, along with Damian.
Yeah.
So maybe he can join the party over here in Phoenix.
Yep.
Not get invited as well. But knocked down 63s, 6'9s, plays small forward, power forward, so he can stretch the floor.
Yep.
Which, always nice to have a 3-and-D guy who's 6'9" with the kind of wingspan that he has. And he had 17 block shots.
He plays hard too, man. And look, there's a few viral clips of him getting dunked on, but he at least tries. You know what I mean? That's what shot blocking is all about, is trying to block the shot, even if you do get dunked on. There's that famous Anthony Edwards one, but this dude plays hard, man. I think he'd be a fan favorite. And again, prior to the Bradley Beal trade, shameless plug, I did make a video about it. Go check it out. It's on the channel right now if you want to learn a little bit more about him. And I'd be excited for him, man. I think he'd be a fan favorite. And again, prior to the Kyrie news, this might get overlooked. Shout out to my guy, John, over at the Suns Jam Session podcast and Bright Side of the Sun. He actually just took over as the site manager over there. So shout out to him. Congratulations to him. He's a good friend of mine. But he said, per the Stein line, again, coming from Mark Stein, just like with the Utah and Mike James news, Damian Lee is, quote, considered one of the surest candidates to re-sign with Phoenix or re-sign with the Phoenix Suns. He said Phoenix of the Suns. I had to make sure I wasn't reading that wrong. Numerous unrestricted free agents. But yeah, Damian Lee. And I forgot who said it. Someone on Twitter was like, I would welcome him back because of the vibes and because of the shooting. I'd be fine with that too, especially if it's cheap. And you kind of mentioned it with Bates Diop, you know, coming from like a program like San Antonio. I mean, Damian Lee won a championship before coming over here.
Exactly.
So I would be fine with it if it's cheap, but I will say this though, he's got to be damn consistent. I mean, we can't see like a major drop off like we did last season with him. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is part of what happened. And this doesn't get talked about very often, but he came out shooting lights out, right?
Won us that game against the Mavericks. Or I think it was our first game of the season.
He wasn't on any team scouting report. He barely got any minutes in Golden State, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play much at Golden State. You can go back and look at his stats over there. And he comes over to Phoenix, to a loaded Phoenix team, and suddenly starts shooting absolutely lights out. And then teams took notice. They added him to the scouting report. They started dissecting how to defend him. And that's all that happened. That's what happened. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't on anyone's scouting report. It was like campaign when we first got him.
Yeah.
Teams are like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? He wasn't even playing in the league, right?
Especially during the bubble.
Exactly.
And maybe even a little bit during the playoffs and all that, you know?
Yeah, it's true. And so then people started respecting his game and he started getting scouted and he hit everyone's defensive scouting report.
Maybe even a little Cam Johnson too. I mean, I don't think he was
Yeah.
necessarily like everyone knew he could
wasn't.
shoot, but he showed he could do a lot more than shoot. So
Yeah. So this
go
is
along with
this
your
is
point.
normal for someone to finally get an opportunity to play. Then they come out and produce, and then defenses are like, oh, okay, we need to figure out how to defend this guy too. But here we are with the team that we have now. Again, you're going to have to pick your poison.
Yeah.
So when you do go pick your poison, you're probably going to leave him wide open because you have to, right?
Right.
And he's going to knock that down all day.
Especially now with Bradley Beal being out there and Book and Katie, maybe Ayton.
Yeah, exactly.
I 100% agree. Real quick, got to address a funny comment here. Suns Geek, it is fine if I add a shameless plug in the chat about my YouTube. Oh, wait, are you asking? Never mind. I thought he was talking about me when I was saying the shameless plug thing. But anyways, real quick, not necessarily, I guess it's kind of a rumor. And this comes from, I believe it's Mike Scotto from Hoops Hype. I just want to share this real quick. Let me just pull this up on my screen here. Mike Vigil from the Timeline Podcast, they do a great job over there. Quote tweeted this. Scotto said Javon Carter is expected to draw interest from the Suns, among other teams, who I believe he recently became an unrestricted free agent. Personal fan favorite of mine. Love Javon Carter. Was a little sad when we traded him away and everything. And again, with Frank Vogel and this coaching staff, Javon Carter would be perfect. I don't care about the offense. Give me Javon Carter for cheap. Give me his defense, man.
So I think it was Kellen Olson was talking about this yesterday.
Yeah.
On Arizona Sports. And he brought up a good point. Because obviously I think we all like Javon Carter. We always have. Good dude. He played really well for Milwaukee. And he went over to Milwaukee on a cheap contract. And this offseason is supposed to be where he gets a bigger contract because he sacrificed by going to Milwaukee and not getting paid a lot so he could go over there and actually get minutes. Like he went there because he was guaranteed minutes from what I gathered. Milwaukee guaranteed him minutes. He was able to perform out there. They gave him a stage to perform, basically.
And you have a chance to play with Milwaukee and, you know, Giannis, and they just won the title, I believe, previously. So,
yeah. So he went over there basically because, hey, I can get playing time over here. I got a stage. I can go out there and produce. That way, the following season, I will have a better opportunity of getting a contract that would obviously be worth more money. And, you know, Javon Carter is the type of player that he would need to probably take that bigger contract, because how many opportunities are you going to get a decent sized contract being that type of player?
Yeah.
But would I love to have him? Sure. But then I also got to ask, how many guards are we going to have on this team?
For real. And you look, some teams experiment with that, but not really contenders for the most part. That can be a little tricky. Sometimes it can be in your benefit, but for this current Phoenix Suns team, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know. If we were like a rebuilding team, I'd say, yeah, screw it. Let's get all the guards we can. You know, it's fast-paced basketball, 3-point shooting and all that. Why not? But
yeah,
this
so
team,
we got Saban, we got Book, Brad
maybe
Beal,
campaign. Like, I don't even know who's on our team anymore.
Right. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know what's going to go on, obviously, with that. What you said the deadline was
today, actually, I believe. Because free agency starts, at I believe 3 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. But yeah, Arizona Sports had it in an article. Oops, I hit my microphone. And I'm quoting Arizona Sports here. Thursday is also the deadline for the Suns to extend the qualifying offers to Baisley, Payne, and Saban Lee, which I believe they did that to Saban Lee. Jock, but I believe they're still like tradable or something, or they can still sign with other teams, I believe.
It makes them a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
Versus unrestricted.
Or
And,
like saying you're on the team pretty much. Like
Yeah. So obviously Jock, we all want Jock. Torrey Craig is another one. Obviously, we have the bird rights on him.
Yep.
So we can retain him. So the roster is like starting to
assemble.
Yeah. But we need some size. I haven't heard anything about Busy.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of gotten a little quiet. But I feel like Busy's kind of that kind of guy, you know.
Yeah,
Kinda
well, I
keeps his
definitely want to
affairs
have him.
private, you know.
Yeah, he does. He's not one for the spotlight, that's for sure.
I feel like that signing or whatever might come later down the road, like once free agency's quiet, you know.
Eric Gordon obviously was a name that has come up because he's not staying with
the Clippers.
The Clips.
Yep.
And obviously, you know, his name was linked to the Suns 10 years ago. Did you know that? It was 10 years ago.
I have a photo I want to react to, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this has been going on for a long time. Gordon coming over here. Obviously, he can knock down the 3-point shot. He's still got game. He was on Team USA back in the day.
Played pretty well during the playoffs throughout stretches, especially against us. And
he always plays good against us. Always does.
Real quick, I'm just reacting to a photo that Ridiculous Cage on Twitter. He's a great follow, by the way. Funny. For some reason, a lot of his clips that he posts seem to go viral. But this picture, I'm pulling up the full screen. Hilarious. Epic Photoshop job. That's hilarious. And if you guys don't know the backstory to this, long time ago, and Steve, I know you remember this, you know, very fondly. Yeah. We pretty much literally put out the red carpet for Eric Gordon. You know, he visited here, apparently had great meetings with us. This was like in the transition of when we got rid of Nash, I believe. Before, I think we got Goron or something like that, or I don't know what the case was. It was a long time ago. Yeah. This was before that 2013-14 season when we won 48 games, that season I'm very fond of. And we put out this like cardboard thing of Eric Gordon, and it went viral, especially nowadays on Twitter. And this great picture by Ridiculous Cage. So
that's great.
I love it, man. So good.
I remember when we did that whole marketing effort to try and get LaMarcus Aldridge. You remember that?
Billboard, yeah.
The billboard and everything.
So good.
I'll be honest with you, like I didn't think we had a very good chance of getting him. I truly didn't, and I'm just like, I mean, I appreciate the effort, but realistically, he ain't coming here.
And don't forget, that was when LaMarcus was still like an all-star. Like this was one of the best bigs in the league. You know what I mean? And you know, the salary cap was different then, and obviously the Suns were in a completely different era. So yeah, I don't know. That was a weird time.
Pre-rush in chat brings up a good name, Mason Plumlee.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to scoop him up.
Yeah. Mason Plumlee, we need to scoop him up before anyone else. Eric Gordon could be brought in for the vet as easily as well. Yeah, Clippers are sort of a strange team. I feel like, you know, there's been some Paul George rumors. Who knows what's going to happen with them? You know, first start off that Ty Lue stuff. You know, we all thought he was going to coach the Suns at one point. Now, who knows? I mean, do they need to make a trade? Do they try to run it back one more time with Kawhi, Paul George? But obviously they lost Eric Gordon, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. I believe Plumlee's a free agent. I could be wrong on that. In my opinion, Plumlee, serviceable center. Is that a fair like statement? Serviceable big man. I don't know.
Yeah, he is. No, he totally is.
Got good size, you know, can play hard.
I would love to have him. I think that would be a huge pickup if we get him. Someone else was it Mark Cooper mentioned Saric. So Dario a free agent?
Yeah, because he was on that final year. Yeah, he's a free agent. And look, the Thunder, I'm sure they loved him there. I'm sure he was a great veteran, you know, guy for all those young. But I don't know if the Thunder, and that's no offense to Dario, but they're just not really in the direction for getting a guy like Dario, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. Maybe they want to keep Dario.
What about Frank the Tank?
Yeah.
What's Frank doing these days?
Was he last with the Hawks? I know he's a free agent, right?
Yeah, because if I recall, Sacramento signed him right for a second. He was there, and then went to Atlanta.
Yeah, I believe so.
And he played so well.
I think he was on a
us.
training camp deal with Sacramento, if I remember correctly. That feels like a lifetime ago, by the way.
It does. He did a really good job stretching the floor for us, though.
Yeah.
Like, you remember when he filled in for DA when DA was hurt?
Yep.
And we went on like a 8, 9, 10 game, 11 game winning streak.
And he had arguably one of the best games of his career with us. He had like 37 points, I believe.
He had a triple double with us.
Yeah,
once, right?
yeah. I was like, he had some of the best games of, and he's a fan favorite, man.
Yes.
Seems like he still loves Phoenix too, man.
He would come back here.
Yeah.
If we offered it to him, he would.
And in terms of fit, like, yeah, new system with Frank Vogel, but I think he would work for us. A guy that can stretch the floor, hit some shots, play big when he needs to. Again, I don't know how defensively great. He's not super great on defense, but still could provide some good minutes for us.
He's not individually, but Vogel, most NBA teams nowadays are running some sort of team defense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Where you have help at like every corner. If someone blows by you, someone steps in to take a charge.
Sort of how James Jones referenced, like, we want to have an advantage at every position, not just the guards. So yeah.
Mo Bamba as a backup. Yeah. Mo Bamba would be cool. I like that. He's great. He's great in 2K. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Look, I loved Mo Bamba coming out of college. I remember making videos about him before we drafted DA and everything. But unfortunately, and I hate to say this, he's a bust, man. And I like him. Maybe there's still room to grow, but he has been disappointing. And it sucks, man. Because we're all talking about Victor Wembanyama nowadays. Last year, we were all talking about Chet Holmgren. And Mo Bamba was like the first, like, giant big man, gigantic wingspan, can hit a couple threes here and there. Like, he has not panned out. I don't know why. Like, you thought maybe going to a team like the Lakers, he would have been able to thrive there and revive. And look, he's still very young. Could go to another team and turn into a great center. And I love Mo Bamba, man. But
did he get hurt?
Yeah, I think there has been injury. I think there has. Yeah, like, I feel like there has been injury, and I'm sure he was injured in Orlando too. So I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, man. I'm looking at his career. So listen to this, from starting at 2018-19. Okay. I'm just going to read off 47 games. Following year, 62. Following year, 46. Following year, 71. Now we're at 2022-23. 40 games with the Magic, now with the Lakers. So 49 games. So he averages somewhere around
65-ish, less than that.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 275. Right into 6. 45.8 games a season. So he plays about half a season every year. And all those years with the Magic, obviously there was no playoff games being played there.
Exactly.
Oof, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
That's more checkered than Zion.
Maybe that's why he hasn't panned out, the injuries. Just saying.
Not everyone's built for the NBA, man.
Yeah. I don't mean to pick on Chet Holmgren here, but we just saw what happened with him. He was like a summer game or something, and LeBron was there and he got hurt. So and I'm hoping for the best real quick with Victor Wembanyama. I hope he has a great career. I hope he's the next superstar in the NBA, but the injury bug is a real thing, man, especially with these big guys. So,
well, you heard Pop's trying to get a big guy over there in San Antonio. So when they play against like the bruiser kind of teams,
like a Steven Adams,
maybe even
an Ayton,
like a Randall.
Yeah.
Like when they play against teams that are known to be bruisers, they're going to put him at power forward so he doesn't have to take the brunt of it.
I like
They
that.
they
actually.
want to
That's
try and
smart.
get someone for like the
Smart.
first couple of years until his body can kind of take form.
Yeah.
And he can get used to playing, in the NBA. They're trying to get someone that can kind of like take those hits for him. And that's why DA's name came up with the Spurs. That rumor only lasted a couple of days, but
Want to know what's funny? This is, I'm not even joking. Breaking news from Dave McMenamin. Speaking of Mo Bamba, the Lakers will waive Mo Bamba and not pick up the team option on Malik Beasley. LA plans to stay in contact with both players throughout free agency, but could find different structures, blah, blah, blah. So they could return, but right now they're actually letting him go. Speaking of Mo Bamba, that's hilarious. And we were just talking about him. So they're letting him go, but it seems like they're keeping an eye on him as well. That's Dave McMenamin. I can't say his last name. Covers the Lakers, ESPN, and all that.
Malik Beasley, though, he's pretty good.
Yeah. Sort of a guy that's been floated around in Suns rumors as well.
Yeah. Another shooting guard.
Yeah.
Shooting guard, small forward.
Real quick, Steve, I don't want to keep you here all day. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. This has been an incredible show, but is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything we missed? I mean, obviously the Kyrie news sort of overlapped a lot of things that were going on. Anything you want to talk about? There is one question in the chat that I kind of might want to get to, but any final thoughts on Bradley Beal, the Kyrie stuff, Ayton?
Final thoughts. Just this is all really exciting. The team's going to start taking form here pretty soon. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff over the next week. I think through 4th of July weekend, there's probably going to be a lot of news. I mean, the Suns are the hot spot, literally and figuratively. Phoenix is the hot spot right now. Like this is where people want to come play. If you're going to sign a veteran minimum contract, you're going to try and sign it in Phoenix first. Yeah. Because this is the team you want to go to. Life gets easier here. It reminds me of when obviously when we had Nash.
Yep.
Whoever came over here had like a career resurgence.
Yep.
They instantly averaged more points per game. Like everyone who came here had a big boost. And even so, if you're like coming on a 1-year contract and you were trying to increase your value for the following year, you just say, I'll come to Phoenix for a year, see how it works out. Either way, I'm going to have better stats and a better chance of getting a better contract.
Raja Bell, Tim Thomas. I know that it kind of ended disastrous, but Joe Johnson, Grant Hill. I could keep going, man.
Jimmy Jackson. Jim Jackson was one of the first guys, one of the first veterans to come over here at that time and come over with the vet minimum, and he killed it.
Leandro Barbosa shined here. I mean, 1-6 man, fan favorite, one of my all-time favorite Phoenix Suns players. I keep going on and on, man. You're 110% right.
Yeah, so we are in a similar scenario now, and what's cool is it's not centered around just one guy, or one style of play.
Right.
It's not centered around Steve Nash and run and gun, because as we know, when and if Steve got hurt, that run and gun wasn't as much. Yeah. It wasn't 7 seconds.
It's like when Chris Paul was injured. Just saying. Our offense looked different when he wasn't on the court.
Yeah, it did. It did. And obviously CP slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
Pretty much since he turned 38. He slowed down. Something happened.
Yeah. I guess just my final thoughts. This is just on everything as we hit the 2-hour mark here in a little bit. But first off, super excited for Bradley Beal. Feel a little bad about him and his press conference kind of being hijacked by all this stuff, but he understands it's a business. He knows how this works. Again, the stuff that Frank Vogel's been saying, I love. Matt Ishbia clearly is in control and is willing to spend every last penny to get this team a title. And also this, I mean, I obviously can't predict the future any better than you can, but seems like Matt Ishbia wants to keep on winning for years and years to come. And you know what, Steve? I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the haters say, the trolls say. If we win a championship, man, that's all that matters. We'll worry about the future later. We'll worry about, the draft picks and all that and the CBA rules later. Don't care, man. I want to win a championship. I want to win, man. That's
I
all
100% agree. I don't
'Cause-
care. I'm
yeah.
not footing the bill.
Yep.
No one here is paying it.
Yep.
This isn't coming out of anybody's savings account.
Preach.
Yep. Matt, do what Matt does. Matt spends. This is really nice. This is a nice change.
And let's be real, Steve. This is why I have the YouTube channel, because I love the Phoenix Suns. You're one of the biggest Suns fans I've ever met.
Yeah.
It's like we want a championship, man. We want to win more than just a championship. We want guys to be like, man, the Suns have won the title this year and that year. Let's go to Phoenix in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
this is like this is a life bucket list item.
Yeah, man.
For me, like in my lifetime, this is one of my bucket list items. And this is one of those things that we have no control over. We have no control over this happening.
Yeah.
So all you can do is hope, pray, root for the team, So we just want it to happen in our lifetime. We're not the only ones. We're not unique to that. There's people that are twice our age.
Because we were young in '93. So
I was 8. Yeah, I was 8 years old, man. But
it's not like we could go
never
to
lost
games
that
all
feeling.
the times and do the social media and YouTube stuff, So
Yep.
but you said you never lost the feeling. Same here, man. Even when we went through that drought, the 10-year playoff drought, I was watching every game. You know that. You and I
Every
would go
game.
to games together.
Yeah.
And didn't matter, man. Phoenix Suns for life, bro. We got to win a title. I don't care if it's this year, next year. We got to win a title, man.
Hey, there's one other person we should maybe keep an eye on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Oubre. Kelly Oubre just opted. He either opted
My
out
boy
or
right there, man. Yeah, I think he's an unrestricted free agent.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't know if that would happen. He's friends with obviously some of the guys.
Yep.
He
Him and DA were close when
he'd be able to play
he was
small
here.
forward.
Yeah.
He is a fan favorite.
Yep.
I just don't know what kind of money he's looking to get.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
That's the thing. Like, if I had the money and if the CBA would allow it or whatever, I would take him back in a heartbeat. That's probably just the nostalgic fan favorite side of me talking. And again, him and DA were super close when he was here. I know him and Booker at least liked each other for the most part, I believe. And the Hornets are sort of in a weird situation. I mean, Jordan is selling a good majority of his shares.
Yeah.
They got new ownership in there. Even if they keep Steve Clifford as coach, they're going to be rebuilding for years. Like it's pretty much LaMelo over there, and then a few young guys like Mark Williams and some rooks.
Yeah.
So
And
it makes
LaMelo
sense.
needs to
Like,
stay on court too.
yeah, that too. And that's why I'm like, it kind of makes sense why Kelly Oubre would probably leave. Yeah, LaMelo's got to stay healthy, man, or that franchise.
His brother
Something-
too.
yeah.
His brother too.
Oh, I
I'm
feel
hearing he
so
might
bad.
be out for the whole year again.
I feel
hear that?
I feel so bad for Lonzo, man.
That sucks.
I mean, I understand that stuff with LeVar Ball and all that, but Lonzo has proven he can be a solid player in this league.
Yeah.
Especially when
Every-
he's healthy. And
Everyone knows his dad's annoying, but you just got to keep it separated, right?
yeah. And he did a great job.
They're
They
not
both
bad kids.
LaMelo. Yeah. They both did a great job of saying, I don't care what my dad says. I'm here to ball. I'm here to be a professional.
Yeah. And they have been. They've been good. They stay out of trouble. They're not in the news like some of the other young talents in the NBA who's, between John and Zion.
Morant. Exactly.
Zion's in the news like every day now. They're taking turns. John, Zion.
For real.
The summer spotlight. So what are you guys doing, man?
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know, man. But I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the future. And this has been an incredible show, Steve. We went over 2 hours, and I appreciate everybody that was in the chat, everybody that was watching along live. And again, final thoughts here. One of the best press conferences in Suns history. Absolute classic with everything that went down. So, Steve, tell the people where to find you, man. All the links are down below in the description. I know you're on Twitch, you're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Tell the people where to find you, man.
Yeah, so you guys can find me everywhere. Like Brandon said, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, ThunderSteve85. Then you can find me on YouTube at ThunderSteve85 Gaming. And it is a video game channel, guys. I play video games my whole life. Grew up on the regular Nintendo. I play everything. And it's video game news, reviews, live streaming over on Twitch. So yeah, come check me out. Subscribe, please, to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitch. It's free, so why not? And that's where you can find me, guys. So thank you. I appreciate all the support.
Of course, man. And guys, you already know I am grateful for the support as well. We are almost 8,000 strong on this channel. And Steve, you've been a big part of that. And so many others have been a big part of it. And I truly appreciate you guys. Cannot say thank you enough. And let me just tell you one more time, Suns fans, before we get out of here. Stay by your phones. Stay by your phones and schedule accordingly. If you have to work or something, tell your boss you might need to step outside for a minute because you got to check what's going on with the Suns in the NBA world. It's going to get crazy from here, y'all. Schedule accordingly. Stay by your phones. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Go subscribe and follow ThunderSteve. Links down below. And again, if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And maybe we'll see you guys soon, especially with free agency. I'm out of here, you guys. Peace.
What's up, Suns?